There was a guy I spoke to who watches the show and said that he thought that we spent hours preparing for the show.
He was being sarcastic.
No, he was dead serious. He's like, "Oh my gosh, I really thought you guys would spend a long time." I said, "Yeah, we can go back there and we give it a little wing it, little wing-a-ding."
Please edit that out. I'm Steven.
And I'm Kevin.
In today's episode of the Steven and Kevin Show,
we're going to talk about the top 5 questions to ask a CPA.
welcome back, everybody. Episode number 52 of the Steven and Kevin Show. Today we're going to talk about the top 5 questions to ask a CPA in your initial meeting with them. So let's say it's the first time you've gotten together with an accountant, maybe you share a mutual client, and we thought it'd be helpful to share some key questions with you today.
Yeah, before we do, I want to share a quick app for any of you who have coworkers who are a little distracting.
What do you got, Kevin?
I was kind of trying to imply you at that point.
I got
this is interesting. You have to have Google Chrome, right? And this is a plugin for Google Chrome, and it's called Nope. N-O-P-E. So if you download Nope, you can put in your phone number, and when you have someone who's in your office who is, maybe lingering in your office. Actually, I'm a victim of doing this. I do this quite a bit. Plants themselves in your office. You can click on the little Nope icon, which is a very small, inconspicuous icon, and then your phone rings. And then you can say, hey, hold on, let me get this. And what's funny about it is when you pick it up, is that there's a guy on the a coach on the other side of it, and it's an automated voice, who basically he coaches you through how to get that person out of your office. He basically goes like, all right, so you want to get this person out of your office, look concerned. And then and then he says, now repeat after me, say this. Yes, of course I can talk now. Is everything okay? Now wave your left hand at them. Right? And it's really funny. I haven't actually used it in real life, but I have tested it out.
What Google search did you run to arrive at that?
I heard it.
Please help my colleagues.
I heard it on the radio, and I had to check it out, and we wanted to share it with all of you because it's just kind of fun.
Or you can just give the old, you kind of stand up and act like you're about to leave somewhere.
And then once they leave, you just sit back down. All right, cool. Let's get into it today. Again, we're talking about questions to ask a CPA during a first meeting.
We, going back for a moment, Kevin, who was it? One of us, this has been years ago, was on a big call. And the person we were talking to was a prospective client of ours, a big prospective client, and the siren started.
It was me.
It was you. I thought it was. And you're like a few minutes into the call, and you were all excited about it. You've been preparing for this big call, and you get on there, and all of a sudden it was woo, woo.
Yeah, it was like the smoke alarm in his building was going off. He's like, oh yeah, I gotta go. Something's going on here.
There were a number of us who were pretty sure this guy had pulled up a YouTube sirens playing video and started playing it on
and just wanted to get me off the phone.
Anyway,
well, because he never talked to me again. So yeah, maybe he did. Maybe
today's topic is regarding CPA alliances. Yep. Depending on when you listen to this, we happen to be a couple of weeks prior to tax time being over as we're recording this. So it may be just a perfect time for you to be reaching out to some of these accountants and getting meetings on the books, whether they're of a fun nature or of a business nature like this one. We think it's prime time to be reaching out to them. If you are a coaching client of ours, you're getting some expert guidance on how to do exactly that. Yeah. CPA alliances happen to be one of the 7 strategies that we focus on with our coaching clients, and we go deep with them. Today's recording showcases a few questions that we think you'll find helpful. In our coaching, we go a lot deeper. We have a whole process for helping you engage these partners and get more business from them. So if you haven't already, please do fill out our consult form. We would love to chat with you.
So let's get into the questions here, and we're going to give you our top 5. You'll know we have a lot of questions to pick from, but just again to be clear, this is the first meeting with a center of influence, right? So this isn't necessarily someone that you've known for a while. You're trying to build a relationship with this person. I'm going to throw out the first question here.
Well, and to further set the stage, Kevin, sorry to backtrack on you once again today, but we've had people who try to really script this out before, and it's tough to do.
Yeah.
I had a painful call with a guy one time who wanted to run by this whole he wanted to go through his whole presentation with me of what he was going to say to this accountant.
For the first meeting.
For the first meeting. And it was, I mean, we got 10 minutes in and I had to stop him because you can't fully script this. This is a meeting between two professionals where for the first time you're getting a chance to find out a little bit about their business, to share a little bit about yours, hopefully to build a little bit of rapport personally.
Yes.
You know, how long have you lived in the area? Where'd you go to school? Do you have family here?
Right. You can't skip over that stuff.
Some of the pleasantries. So you can't script it out, but we do think you shouldn't wing it either. And these 5 questions will help you go in with a little bit of a game plan of some things you want to accomplish.
And to set the stage even further, this is probably over lunch, right? It's probably in an informal environment as well. So we've done a lot of prefacing here.
Yeah.
So let's get into the questions. And Stephen, why don't you start us off with one of your favorite questions to ask a CPA during that first meeting?
You know, one of the things that I think is really nice to find out in that meeting are their thoughts on advisors in general. And so part of what you're thinking is, do they offer investment advice? Yeah. You're also thinking, do they work with other advisors? These are hard things to just come right out and ask in a first meeting, so you probably don't want to ask it that way. But you could ask a question like, you know, who are some of the financial advisors in the area who, from your perspective, do a really good job? And so that's question number 1. Who are some of the advisors in the area that you think do good work? So, and what you're fishing for here.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the end goal here with this question?
Well, you might figure out, oh, yeah, we launched an investment division last year. It's not up on the website yet, and you know, so I would recommend our guys. You know, but you might also find out that they have some close partnerships. You might find out that they just don't know many advisors. Any of those things are going to be telling as to whether or not this person could be a good long-term partner for you.
I think that's really good.
So if they have never referred out to anybody, you're probably not going to teach that dog a new trick.
Yeah, if they say, I don't think there's really anyone who does a really good job around here, or no one that I know of, or, you know, it's probably not a good, that's not a good sign.
Right.
And you might take it as a good sign because you might think, oh, well, I'm that person, right? I'm the one who's going to do a good job. Chances are that they just don't refer out, and you need people who refer.
Exactly right. And so maybe they've got a partnership, you know, the industry's aging. Maybe they've got a partnership going strong with somebody who's nearing retirement.
Yeah.
Maybe they've got enough people they can refer out to where they've got room for multiple advisors they could work with. But that's one question to kind of get at the answer to a question that's burning in your mind. What are their thoughts on advisors?
I like it. Okay, so the second question that we're going to get into today is one that's more advice focused, and it's letting them be the expert. And this question would be something along the lines of, so Mr. and Mrs. CPA, you know, what are some of the common mistakes you see advisors make in regards to taxes? Or what are some of the common misconceptions they have? Again, putting them in the expert chair, which they like to be in that chair, right? And you're getting their advice on it. And it's just a nice question, and it's one that I think is a little humbling as well, because you're not coming in thinking that you're an expert. You're basically asking them for advice. People like that.
I like it. You got me brainstorming some other questions here that weren't on our list.
I'll
share those as a bonus. I'll share those as a bonus. Third question. Do you use LinkedIn? Or if you already know they have a LinkedIn account, you could ask, how are you using? I saw you have a LinkedIn account. How are you using it for your business?
Yes. We love that one because, one, I mean, a lot of CPAs know that they should be using LinkedIn, but a lot of them don't know how to use it. And we train advisors on teaching CPAs how to use the tool as a value add.
Yeah, and the more quickly you get into a LinkedIn conversation with an accountant like that, the more quickly you can get into a conversation about how you can meet some of their LinkedIn connections. You don't handle that in the first meeting, but you at least broach the subject of LinkedIn in that first meeting.
It also gives you an idea of how much of a growth mode they're in, right?
Yeah.
Because if they're like, oh yeah, I'm trying to use it more, then they're probably at a point where they do want to grow their practice and their awareness in their community. If they're saying, I don't do a lot of LinkedIn, I don't do a lot of this social stuff, I don't do a lot of marketing, maybe that's not someone who's in a growth mode.
Gotcha. I like it.
Here's one that I think is interesting. And this one is, what does your ideal client look like? Ask them, what does their ideal client look like? Now, by the way, when you ask that question, you better be prepared to answer it, because they're probably going to reciprocate that question and ask you after they answer it. But it's going to give you an idea of, is this someone that I should pursue or not? Do they work with a lot of business owners, and that's who I would like to work with? Do they work with a lot of the affluent people in the area, or are they just like, or working with a different type of demographic that you really are not interested in? Really good question to ask to determine if you're going to pursue this relationship.
And when it's flipped on you, don't be afraid to get specific with them about the types of people you work best with. It's hard for them sometimes you're going to help them by giving them a real clear picture of, I work with executives in the area or business owners or mostly retirees. Just gives them some structure as to who to send your way.
Is this our last one? Is this number 5 coming up here?
It is.
Yeah.
Lastly, you can ask them about other experts. So as you're broadening your network, you want to be meeting accountants, you want to be meeting attorneys. So you might ask this accountant, hey, I'm trying to make sure I've got some great experts on hand for estate planning advice as well. Who do you recommend in the area?
I love it. It's just, you're looking for another introduction opportunity to someone, and it's going to be, I mean, then you could say, I'd love to meet them. Can you introduce me to them? And you're just, again, broadening that network, building it out. And when you get an introduction, the whole process speeds up.
Yeah, so here's the gist of these 5 questions. Take them or leave them. We've got plenty more where that came from in our coaching program, so if you haven't filled out the consult form, please do. But the guiding mission here in meeting with an accountant like this is, could you go into there and wing it and it go okay? Yeah,
probably.
You could. You'd make some small talk. You'd find a little bit about their business. If you go in there really thinking hard about what you can accomplish, you're touching on things like LinkedIn, ideal client profile, things to be looking out for, and tax returns that might signal somebody needs a new accountant. I mean, you're asking some thoughtful stuff that is going to help you figure out stage 2 in the relationship, which is where most advisors fall off. They have a great first meeting like this, or at least an average first meeting, but they don't have a clue where to go next.
Yeah, and that's what we can coach you through.
Yeah, so thanks for joining, everybody. Stay tuned for 53 coming up next week.